Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news updates, debates and my opinions. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. We're on the way to 13,000 subscribers. And of course, if you could click the like button, I would be incredibly grateful. Look, it's a Friday. The weekend is here. Christmas is basically here. And we'll be talking about the Crystal Palace game tomorrow. We'll be talking about the Carabao Cup draw, what that means for us. Our fixtures in January, pretty mental at this point. Arteta's done his press conference, obviously, ahead of the game tomorrow. So has Oliver Glasner. And, anything else you want to talk about? Oh, and this weird rumour about a player, Alberto Moleiro. Random rumour that was going around last night. We'll talk about that as well. VV Vlad, Ethan Udall, Junior Film, Saliba, Layla, Oslo, Guna, Ryan, Cy Walder, Hannah, Nid, Carter, Leo, Mia, Devin, Dreadlock Gamer, Spacetime. It is good to see you all. I hope you are doing very, very well. All I want for Christmas is likes. Rory 2020. That is all I want for Christmas. All I want for Christmas is for you to click that like button. No. I mean, yes, but no. Look, we'll start off by talking about the press conferences ahead of tomorrow. Pretty simple, to be honest. Pretty simple. For Arsenal, according to Mikel Arteta, Rice and Calafiori are both available to be in the squad. Zinchenko could probably be available as well. Tomiyasu won't be. So Rice back, Calafiori back, Zinchenko. I think the reason he said could probably be available as well is that I don't think Zinchenko is going to be in the squad, not because he's not fit enough to be, but because we've run out of space. Because for me, Miles Lewis-Skelly is in the squad tomorrow, and therefore there may not actually be room for Alexander Zinchenko, but it does seem like he's fit enough to be if he needs to be. And then... yeah, just Tomiyasu. So it's only Tomiyasu and Ben White now that are unavailable. And we need to use the full squad. We need to use the full squad. Rory, why has the talk of the sporting director kind of gone quiet these days? Don't know. I think they may let what's his name, who's taken over as interim, carry on. His name's just completely vanished from my mind. But Tommy sightings, rarer than Santa these days. I know. Tomiyasu can't catch a break, even in press conferences. Yeah, basically. Jason Ato. Yeah, that's the one. Is the Tifo watch-along Spurs-Liverpool? No, we'll be live on Big Up tomorrow for Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. And that will be it. I'm going home on whatever day it is. Sunday. Sunday. I've got a family thing, so there won't be a Big Up stream on Sunday. We will just be doing the Arsenal Crystal Palace game tomorrow. Link is down in the description to Big Up if you do want to join that watch along tomorrow evening. Jakob, good to see you. When are you going to demand Arteta out? Not for a long time. It's the 5-year anniversary of Mikel Arteta today, by the way. 5 years ago today, Mikel Arteta arrived at Arsenal Football Club again and turned it around. He turned our club around and, hey, here's to the next 5 years. And in the next 5 years, I genuinely, truly believe we win everything. In the next 5 years with Mikel Arteta, we win a Champions League, we win a Premier League, at least one. We win the FA Cup, we win the Carabao Cup, we win it all. We win it all. Love that we play Newcastle at home first, win 3-0 at the Emirates, lose 1-0 at St James. Yeah, it's I don't know really. We'll talk about it, whether we want to play them first or second, because I'm in two minds. I am in two minds. Rory, if we progress in the FA Cup, we will also have a game between City and Leicester. Well, we've already got one game between those two, don't we? The second leg against Newcastle's between the 2nd and the 15th. So then there will actually be two games between those, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so someone said, what's happened to Eze? Eze is out. According to Oliver Glasner, Eze is out tomorrow and nobody is back. So the team that we played against on Wednesday night, they've got no one back and they've lost Eze, which... do you know what? I mean, we've got to go and win. We've got to go and win. I mean, if you look at this is basically the lineup that they're going to have to put out. Like, there's not really any anywhere around that at this point. Let me move that out of the way. The only options they've got, well, Eddie Nketiah could maybe come in here, but other than that, Frank is still out, Wharton's still out, Munoz suspended, Riyad's out, and Eze is now out as well. So, see, I get why people hate Arteta right now, but sacking him is like United sacking Sir Alex because he lost to Barcelona. Some things happen, can't do much. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't compare it quite to Sir Alex, but I think you look around, look at the teams that have sacked managers repeatedly. Like, Man United have tried the approach of giving a manager 2 or 3 years, and if it doesn't work, sacking them. And they're further back now than they were when they had David Moyes, you know? Hit it long to Mateta with Nketiah and Sarr. I hope they do. I hope Mateta plays. Honestly, I hope Mateta plays because Gabriel and Saliba, they will absolutely love playing against Mateta. And the other good thing is for Palace is that, I mean, there's just going to be very little on their bench. And most of these played 90 minutes against us in midweek. For Arsenal, Raya in goal, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis. I mean, this is a prediction, right? But it wouldn't surprise me if this happened, to be honest. Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis, Skelly, Partey, Ødegaard, Marino, Saka, Havertz, Martinelli. The only thing I would probably change is that I would assume Gabriel Jesus will start. But yeah, we're in a good place right now, and we need to be. And I hope Calafiori doesn't come into the starting lineup tomorrow. That if Calafiori starts tomorrow, Arteta's got a death wish when it comes to the squad. Rory, Chelsea sacked managers all the time, and they've won Champions Leagues. But it's completely different because Chelsea would sack a manager and then give every new manager an unbelievable amount of money. So I'm not convinced. I'm not actually convinced that it does work. Look at how many times they've sacked managers and the next manager's been worse. Like, do you think Palace will play deeper and more defensive than they did midweek, even though they're at home? Possibly, but to be honest, like, they weren't. If you look at the runs that Jesus was making, like, if we start Jesus, it doesn't really matter how deep they play. I still think we can break those lines. I think a back five is quite useful for us. So yeah, I think it wouldn't be a problem, even if they do play deeper, for me. Am I the only one with Nketiah stocks? Gave Saliba trouble when he came on Wednesday. You might be the only one with Nketiah stocks, yeah. I don't have them. Why not Calafiori? Didn't quite catch it. Because he's just coming back from injury. I think the biggest issue we've had with Calafiori and a number of other players this season is, having to use players because other people aren't fit, and then they come back from injury. It's like, realistically, Calafiori's coming back from injury. You don't need to start him tomorrow. Give him 15 minutes at the end of the game if you need to, and ease him back in. And don't play him in certain games. I think the biggest problem with Calafiori was as soon as he was fit, straight into the starting lineup, playing twice a week at left back. Like, we can relax. We're perfectly capable of beating this Palace team. I mean, we beat this Palace team with Kieran Tierney at left back, but I would use Miles Lewis-Skelly, and I'd be happy with it. At least Arsene Wenger won the cups. Well, Arteta won an FA Cup within his first 6 months. So, Marino hate is turning worse every day. Give the man some time. I agree, he needs time. I don't even think he's been that bad. That said, I would potentially start Kai Havertz at left centre mid and Jesus up top. Is something that I would actually think about doing. I'd rather play KT than rush Calafiori. Yeah, but just play Miles Lewis-Skelly. Surely. That's what I would do anyway. That's my personal opinion. And he hasn't won anything since, spending 700 million making his own squad. Yeah, see, this 700 million thing is a thing that I also find quite stupid, because look at all of the other big clubs in that same 5 years. They've all spent, I mean, some have spent more than 700 million, but all of them have spent close to it. So So if we brought in a new manager tomorrow, right, who would inherit the squad that Arteta has spent 700 million on, you'd just go, well, oh my God, this manager has spent nothing. And look at what he's doing. Like, it's such a silly way of looking at it. So Arne Slot comes in and inherits a world-class team where he's got players like Van Dijk, who was the most expensive centre-back at the time, and Alisson, who was the most expensive goalkeeper at the time. And you go, well, he spent nothing. So that's amazing. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But they've won something. What? Man City, different ball game. What like this I just don't understand it. I don't follow the logic. I don't follow the logic at all. You can keep sacking managers and then the new one comes in and you let them spend 200 million to build on the 400 million that the previous manager spent and then go, oh wow, they only spent 200 million. But like the squad itself, you know, Maresca has a squad that to assemble it cost over £1 billion. It's as simple as that. West Ham, Chelsea, Man City, United, Liverpool, all won trophies since. Yeah. So you'd rather be where United are? Fine. Go on then. If you'd rather be where United are because they won a Carabao Cup and an FA Cup, be my guest. Be my guest. I'm not going to continue just arguing with you because you've got the same sort of moronic point that the average Twitter user has. I don't need to carry on, but it's such a terrible argument. Yeah, it's a terrible argument. It's just people who live on Twitter looking for attention. 99% of clubs in the world would love to have their team in a place where we are. Yeah, exactly. And I was looking at a thing today that was about it was talking about Jurgen Klopp, but it was like Jurgen Klopp. If you changed 4 results in Jurgen Klopp's career, no, I can tell you're not an Arsenal fan. I can tell. If you changed 4 results in Jurgen Klopp's career at Liverpool, he would have 3 Premier Leagues and 3 Champions Leagues. Now, obviously, that's not how it works, but it kind of tells you like how close he was to that. And it's the same. If you change 2 results in Mikel Arteta's Arsenal career as a manager, 1 from last season and 1 from the season before, he's got 2 Premier League titles. Like, that's how close it was, really. 1 result in each season away from having 2 Premier League titles. Now, that isn't how it works, right? That is absolutely not how it works. But if those 2 results had gone differently, you're talking about a guy who in his first managerial job up against Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp and the greatest Man City team, arguably the greatest Premier League team that's ever been seen, taking 2 Premier League titles from them. But we want to throw it all away because he didn't win a Carabao Cup. That's how mental it is. That's how mental it is. He's two results away from an unbelievable achievement. Oh, but we lost to West Ham in the Carabao Cup last season, so sack it all off and get a different manager. I find it bizarre. Rory, thoughts on the new Wonder Kid Arsenal scouting? Yeah, I don't really know what this is. We'll talk about this. This Alberto Moleiro. So he plays for Las Palmas. Now, this was something that came out last night. Originally, I think AFTV tweeted it. I mean, AFTV called him a left back, which was, I don't know if that was clickbait or knowing that by calling him a left back, it would get a load of like reaction to it. He's not a left back. He's a left midfielder, left winger that can play centrally. So not a left back in the slightest. 21 years old, right-footed. Like I said, plays for Las Palmas. I mean, you know, greenery check. This is all right. Pass accuracy is all right. But for me, that pass accuracy combined with a lack of creativity isn't brilliant. Decent dribbler of the ball. And outside of that, it's all a bit meh. But obviously, look, these are stats and I've not seen him play. I will be honest, I've literally never seen the guy play at all. So I don't know. Now, the rumor was that we've pre-agreed to trigger. I don't really know what it was. There were conflicting reports, but basically it was that we've pre-agreed to sign him next summer. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know. I don't really know what to make of it. There's no credible source. I don't know the guy. I don't know the player. That's about it, really. I apologize that I don't have more information for you, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know more than I do. Let them get it out of their system. It's attention they want. No, look, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I just, in the case of Arteta, I think the opinion is often questionable. And it is a common. The one thing I often find is that the people that have these incredibly high, almost impossible to reach standards for Mikel Arteta have the lowest standards for themselves. It's always the most baffling thing. You see these people on Twitter that proclaim to have standards, these unbelievable standards where if you don't win it, you get sacked, and that's how it is. But they're perfectly content with living to their own low standards. It's baffling. In these 5 years, Arteta got 89 points and went head-to-head with arguably one of the best managers of all time in his first job. Respect him. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know? It's... And then people will say, but the same people that say that Arteta should be winning, and if he's not winning, he should be sacked, those same people will tell you that our squad is nowhere near as good as Liverpool's squad, nowhere near as good as City's squad. You know, I've seen debates today about whether Arsenal's squad is better than Chelsea's squad. So now you're saying, well, so the guy who's got the third or fourth best squad should be winning, and if he doesn't win, you sack him. So then who's out there that's going to come in, inherit the third or fourth best squad, and beat the other teams above? Like, it's what I don't quite understand. Rory, did you see Arteta smirk after they mentioned Marcus Rashford? Yeah, look, the Marcus Rashford thing's interesting. So, reportedly, Arsenal had previously been interested in Marcus Rashford. There were genuine conversations about bringing Marcus Rashford in. At the time, the big reason it didn't happen was money. Like, Arsenal couldn't afford both a transfer fee and the wages that Marcus Rashford wanted. Now, since then, Marcus Rashford's stock has fallen, so I don't think it would happen. But yeah, with Arteta smirking, I think it's probably just he doesn't want to answer the question more than anything else. Wasn't just West Ham, though. It was a double against Aston Villa. West Ham at home in the league and League Cup. Fulham away from home. Newcastle away from home. Liverpool at home in the FA. I mean, yeah, we didn't have a perfectly invincible season. Like, you know, but again, City had a very slightly better season than us by one result. Credit to them. They beat us to it. I do often wonder if it's also like 89 points not that long ago would have comfortably won you the Premier League. You know, 89 points is more than pretty much any Arsenal team ever has got. So it's like, yeah, we dropped points in games that we shouldn't have done, but we also took 4 points from City, 4 points from Liverpool. It's just how a season goes, you know, and we just need to be that little bit better. Unfortunately, this season it started in a difficult way, but I just don't understand how sacking Arteta. Does a different manager get more points with that Arsenal team last season? I don't think so. I don't. AFC Amden. I never know. Is he? Do you call him AFC Camden or AFC Amden? I've never ever known it. Keeps pushing the Rashford links. Genuinely don't know if he's trolling. I don't really know. We're not going to get Marcus Rashford. We're not, because the only way I could see us bringing in Marcus Rashford would be a loan. That would the only plausible way of bringing him in January would be a loan. But we would have to then do something with Sterling or Neto, because we've already got 2 loan players from the Premier League. So, the maximum you can do is 2. So yeah, I don't know. No, I know 4 points doesn't mean anything if we don't win the league, but I feel like you can look back on any season where you don't win the league and say, well, we should have got points there. But that's just not how it works. Like, Liverpool lost 6 out of 7 title races against Man City. You know, they will look back at all of those. Does that mean that Klopp was a bad manager or shouldn't have managed them? No, it's just like I don't know. Unless you just want us to go invincible every season. That's the only. Okay, so we'll go and get a manager that can go invincible with this squad every season. Fine. Do it. If the manager's there, go and do it happily. This is what I don't understand. How easy is it to forget the last decade? I swear people do. I think the thing is, I was thinking about this as well. There's probably like 14, 15, 16-year-olds on Twitter that genuinely don't really remember what it was like pre-Arteta. And now, so they just look and they think that like what City have been doing is normal and that's what you should be doing. It's like, where we've come from, it's not easy. Man United is the prime example of how not easy it is to rebuild. Man United have thrown far more money at their squad. They've cycled through far more managers who had better names than Mikel Arteta, whether it was Mourinho or Van Gaal or, even Moyes at the time. Man United are proof. Like, it's not easy. Arsenal still plan to get Zubimendi. Yeah, I think we still want Zubimendi. It just depends. Like, Liverpool still want him. City want him. It'll probably be difficult to do, but Rory, I guarantee you that if Liverpool don't win the league from their position, there won't be any talk about bottlers. No, of course there won't. So are you telling me Simone Inzaghi, Mikel Sanchez, Diego Simeone, Antonio Conte, Thomas Tuchel, Jose Mourinho, Unai Emery, with the backing and even Nuno Santo couldn't do a better job? Yeah. I'm not that they couldn't, but that I wouldn't guarantee that they would. I mean, Simeone's been at Atletico for however long. He won what? One La Liga title in all of that time. Inzaghi, great manager by all accounts. No proof that he can do it in the Premier League. Mourinho, he had Spurs and Man United, where he was able to spend just as much money as Arteta. Couldn't do it. Conte, Spurs, plenty of money, top quality players, couldn't do it. Unai Emery was at the club. He spent the money awfully. We wouldn't even have Bukayo Saka if Unai Emery had his way. So look, for me, I'm very happy with Mikel Arteta. And I think it's very easy to sit there and go, well, this manager would have done better. This manager would have done better. Look at the managers that have been coming in and out of other clubs and not done better. Taking over from Ferguson and Wenger is an impossible task. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. No, I'm not disrespecting what Simeone's done, but I don't think Simeone comes in and wins the Premier League. I just don't. There's nothing that makes me think that Simeone comes in and wins the Premier League against Pep Guardiola's Man City, which was the team that we had faced in the last 2 seasons. It's frustrating that this season we've had a blip at the same time as City, but just is what it is. Conte and Mourinho won trophies at every club, apart from Spurs. They aren't built to win. Yeah, they did. But again, what did Mourinho do at United? What, a Europa League and 1 second place finish? He's, I can't remember exactly who Mourinho signed, but he's moving around with players like Pogba, spent more money. That squad that he had was assembled with far more money. It's just not as easy as people think. It's just not as easy as people think. It really isn't. And also, Bagaboo, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Also, half of these managers, people are complaining these days about the way that Arsenal play. Well, you'd rather play Mourinho ball? You'd rather play Simeone ball? I'm not so sure. We scored more goals this season, or we scored more goals in 2024 than any other Premier League team. It is what it is. There's over 200 of you here, by the way, so if you could subscribe and click that like button, I would be incredibly grateful. You should watch Alberto Moleiro versus Real Madrid. Yeah, I'm going to have to, because I've got no idea who the guy is. So I'm going to have to watch him, because I do genuinely have no idea who the guy is. By the way, I wanted to bring up, so Arsenal's fixtures in January now, and this is why, by the way, I don't want to rush Calafiori back. I don't want to rush Declan Rice back. Our fixtures are crazy. So Palace away, Ipswich home, Brentford away, Brighton away in the space of 3 days isn't the easiest. But then Newcastle home in the Carabao Cup. 5 days later, United at home in the FA Cup. 3 days later, Tottenham at home in the Premier League. 3 days later, Villa at home in the Premier League. 4 days later, Zagreb at home in the Champions League. 5 home games in the space of 15 days. And then we round out the month with Wolves away and Girona away. So we've got 9 games in January. 9 games in January, and we follow that up immediately with City at home and Newcastle away in the space of the next. That says 4th of February. It won't be because the Man City game has to be on the 2nd. This one will have to be on the 5th, I'm pretty sure. And then potentially we get a 10-day break, but we'd only get a 10-day break between Newcastle and Leicester if we had lost the FA Cup game against Manchester United. If we beat Manchester United in the FA Cup, then there will be another game within that 10-day break. And then I think we do genuinely get a week off here. 15th to the 22nd, we get a week off because I believe it's when the Champions League playoffs are, which hopefully we won't be in the Champions League playoffs because we'll finish in the top 8, which is the dream. But the point is, through this schedule, we're going to need 20 players to get us through it. And so throwing back in Calafiori or Rice, who have been dealing with issues, is not ideal. But look, we're in a good position. Newcastle, so some people said, look, there's 2 ways of looking at the Newcastle draw. First of all, it's winnable. It's definitely winnable. I think over 2 legs against Newcastle, we should be beating them. Now, I always think it's better to have the second leg at home. Second leg at home, you've got the crowd with you. Like you can turn the tie around. Even if you go and lose the first leg 1 or 2-0, you can turn the tie around in the second leg at home. The opposite way of looking at that is if, and it's a big if, but if we can beat Newcastle at home in the first leg, they will have to change the way they play when we go to St. James's Park. They will not be able to play at St. James's Park the way that they did it against us in the league if they're chasing the game. So especially if we can take like a 2-goal lead into it, we force them to attack us at St. James's Park, then I think we can also beat them there. There will be no Bruno Guimaraes and there will be no Fabian Schär for the first game. Fabian Schär. Always get that the wrong way around. But yeah, so those 2 are going to be missing, which is good as well. So look, we should beat them, but it's off the back of 2 away games at Brentford and Brighton, so it's not going to be easy. If you look at Newcastle's games in comparison building up to it, they've got United and Spurs. So the other way of looking at it is they've got 2 very difficult games as well. In fact, actually, their whole Christmas period, after Ipswich away, they've got Villa, United, Spurs. So yeah, look, it's a test. Obviously, Spurs have got Liverpool. Could be a North London derby final. Would you rather play Spurs or Liverpool if we make it to the final? See, I'd rather play Spurs. And not because, I want to beat Spurs in a final because it'd be amazing. I mean, it would be amazing, right? It would be amazing. The reason I want to play Spurs in the final is that I genuinely think Spurs are a far easier game than Liverpool. It's as simple as that. Liverpool are a far better team than Spurs are. I would expect us to beat Spurs in the final. Now, that said, there is a level of jeopardy if you were to face Spurs in the final, in that if we lost to Spurs in the final, it would be unbelievably painful. And it shouldn't be, because, especially someone who's, if we get to the Carabao Cup final, you definitely want to win it, but to give them their first trophy in bloody 20-odd years would be tough. Is it 20 years yet? No. How long is it since they won when did they win the Carabao Cup last time? Was that 2007, 2008? So it's what, 16 years or something since they last won a trophy. The risk-reward ratio isn't worth the Spurs final. I agree, but yeah, 2008. I agree, but I genuinely just think they're an easier team to beat. That's my thought going into it. If I want to win the Carabao Cup, I think Spurs is the easier team to beat in the final. Now the PGMOL officiating would make sure we don't beat Spurs in the final. I don't think so. Want the minimum number of North London derbies possible. My nails don't grow fast enough. I suppose the other way of looking at it would be that if we play a final and Liverpool play a final, they have no advantage over us in the running. If we're within the title race at that point. How do you think Liverpool approach the Spurs game in the Cup? I think they'll go full strength. To be honest. But we'll see. I definitely think we'll go full strength. So, and Newcastle will definitely go full strength as well. I would imagine. All this final chat, watch us lose the semis now. I'm confident. I am confident in the semis. I think we're a better team than Newcastle. I do think we're a better team. Like maybe then, if they try and play the way that they played against us at St. James's Park, it could end up going all the way through to penalties, to be honest. But the good thing is, we don't have to win the tie. Drawing the tie and going to penalties isn't the end of the world in the way that drawing against Newcastle and then dropping 2 points in the Premier League is a nightmare. Dinamo Zagreb game is very important. Go strong for 45, I reckon. Well, yeah, we want to win both of the remaining Champions League games because the higher up you finish, the better it is. Again, look, if we go back to this, where were we? On Arsenal. So the Champions League, the way the knockouts work, look, we want to finish as high up as we can because the higher up you finish, the easier draw you get from the playoffs. So as it stands, if we finish in third, we're going to play against 13th, 14th, 19th, or 20th, which you would imagine is more likely going to be 13th and 14th. Whereas if you finish down in 7th or 8th, you could end up playing 9th or 10th. So if you look at it right now, the current 4 teams, if it ended as it is, the current 4 teams that we could face in the round of 16, 13th, 14th, 19th, and 20th, Atalanta, Juve, Club Brugge, and Real Madrid. So ironically, actually right now, it doesn't look nice if we finished where we are. But equally, 9th and 10th is Borussia Dortmund and Bayern. I mean, because of the fact that Villa and Brest and Lille are up in the top 8, it's a minefield down here at this point. If you finish top 2, though, top 2 is gonna face Benfica, Monaco, Sporting, or Feyenoord. So right now, Liverpool and Barca, they would face one of these 4. That's quite nice. You'd be quite happy with that. Can you play English teams in the first knockout round? I don't think so. I want to say no, but I'm not entirely sure. But then technically, it could be that, you have to. So, so it's not going to happen, right? But let's say, for example, Bayer Leverkusen finish 7th, and then Dortmund and Bayern finish 9th and 10th, and then Dortmund and Bayern both win their playoffs, then Bayer Leverkusen would have to play a German team. So I'm not really sure how it works. So does first place face the winner of 9th versus 24th? No. So the way it works is 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th play against each other. So it will be 15th versus 18th and 16th versus 17th. The winner of those 2 then go into a draw to face the winner of these 2. So let's say it was, I can't remember the teams. Who was down in that area? Feyenoord and let's say it's Feyenoord and Sporting are the 2 that go through here. Because if you look at the playoffs, right now it's 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. They play against each other. So let's say it's Sporting and Feyenoord that come through here. Then I think there's a draw. So it would be, you would literally do a mini draw where they'd get pulled out. A bit like the semi-final draw of the Carabao Cup last night. It's complicated. It is unnecessarily complicated. But so for example, in these playoffs, Dortmund and Bayern will go into a draw against PSV and Zagreb. So it could be Dortmund against Zagreb. It could be Dortmund against PSV. And then they'll go through. That's how it works. It is quite confusing, though. It is quite confusing. Very. I assume it's the same for the other European competitions as well, then? Yeah, it is. I think maybe the Conference League slightly different. But yeah, it basically is the same for all of them. Anyway, look, that is going to be the end of the stream. Unfortunately, I won't be live on Twitch later either. So the next stream will be the watch along over on Big Up tomorrow for Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Link is down in the description to Big Up. Hope to see as many of you there as possible. If you could like, subscribe before we end the stream as well, that would be fantastic. And I hope you all have a good weekend. And then it's basically Christmas. In fact, actually, we won't be live on YouTube now until after Christmas. We won't be live on YouTube now probably until the 28th. So over a week away. So I will wish you all a very Merry Christmas if I don't see you over on Big Up tomorrow. And hopefully Arsenal can pick up 6 points by the time I next speak to you. But until then, have a fantastic evening and goodbye.